Thank you, Professor Wang, for your kind introduction, and thanks to Professor Liu for invitation. And of course, it's my great pleasure to be here actually again, because last year, also on this very nice Great Wall Conference, I was here meeting Professor Wang, Professor Liu, and my colleague Meng as well. And this time, I'm very happy to meet Professor uh, Zhang, who is also our associate editor. So I'm Bo, and I just like Karonika, I also manage a few journals in NPJ portfolio. Um, and we also have several other publishers in China. So Meng is in Beijing, and myself and Jia Liang are in Shanghai. We also have a publisher, Ronghua, in Nanjing. And in today's talk, which is much less technical, and I will talk about NPJ's story in all around the world and also in China. So focusing on the transition from partnership to a community-focused model. The font has changed slightly, but I think it doesn't affect meaning at all. Yeah, so I think the story starts from roughly 2010, when open access quite became quite noticeable as a publishing mode. So let me start with policies, and then later I will also show some market data, which suggests that open access publishing started to take off, also starting in the year of 2012 and 2014. Yeah, so we all know that Europe was and also is the major driving force behind open access publishing, right? A lot of founders in European countries, they favor this open access mode because they strongly believe that those research outputs being published by, regardless of the publisher's type, either commercial publisher or society publisher, I think they believe the results should be shared for free with the research community and also with anyone who is interested in knowing these results. Okay, so the um, the graph on the right-hand side listed the major developments in various countries in terms of how the policy evolved and also in a favorable way towards supporting open access publishing. And notably in 2014, the NSFC in China and also CAS, so 基金委和中科院, they also have their own OA policies, which in the eyes of the European leaders or countries, of course, it looks more, it doesn't look very aggressive. But on the other hand, in the eyes of the Chinese researchers, I think they didn't place any barrier toward, to slow down the open access publishing. So eventually, just like the other places of the world, in China, the OA open access publishing has take off. Okay, so this, because of the phones, I think there was a small overlap here, but I think it's still comprehensible. You look at this curve, it's quite obvious that the open access publishing has increased gradually from 2000, and after 2010, it starts to take off. So basically, it doesn't grow linearly anymore. It starts to grow exponentially. This is also, partially can be attributed to the policy momentum from all around the world, which accelerated this growth. On the right-hand side is the Open Access Journal listed in DOAJ, which is, of course, it's open and also, reasonable database for open access journals. It is not as hard as strict as Web of Science, but all the proper OA journals are listed there. And of course, you also see a exponential growth, and the takeoff is also around 2012. So basically, when the government releases or released positive signals, the market responds, right? And in this case, very favorably to open access publishing. So how does this, what does this mean to Nature Portfolio or Springer Nature or NPJs, right? So this is a brief recap of Nature Portfolio's history, and also, towards 2014, that was the born of NPJ series. So Nature has been here for more than 150 years, and it's very interesting. Nowadays, it was known as Nature Biotechnology. It was launched in 1983, and gradually Nature started to have its the so-called Nature family journals, right? And 2010 we launched Nature Communications, and nowadays it publishes more than 10,000 articles per year, and more than 30% of these articles are coming from China. 2011, we launched scientific reports. So these are the early comers from at that time not Springer Nature but Nature on the open access journals. And after 2012, Nature Research Group also realized that there are opportunities with more open access journals. And at that time, I think my former colleague Martin, who was the head of NPJ, and he came up with this idea that we can bring in external partners to work together with Nature to launch these so-called Nature partner journals. Okay, so when it was launched, how was it like? So we had um, I think the core idea is that we want to bring, of course, we want to keep the core values of Nature portfolio journals, but on the other hand, we also want to bring these, basically share these Nature's core values with our partners, and in the meantime, drive excellent OA publishing. So around NPJ journals, we have, of course, supported by Nature journals, Nature editors. One of the biggest background is that open access publishing, open science is something that we like. And we have also academic partners who can be either universities, institutions, or funding bodies. And together with the partner, Nature and the partner will appoint one or two editor-in-chief, who is, of course, a famous professor in the field, who can lead the journal with the support of Nature Publishing Group and also the partner. Yeah, so it looks like a very good combination, right? So all good resources, good name, good momentum because of the OA. Yeah, so that's where we started. And of course, considering that the interest of these NPJ journals needs to be aligned well with the partner's interest and also with the Nature's interest. So we are not launching mega journals or broad journals like Nature Communications. Instead, we launch very domain-specific OA journals. And because of the publishing model, which is open access, so we can receive revenue, get revenue from the APC model, so the authors pay, but the readers don't pay. By doing that, these journals are quite scalable. So at the beginning, of course, Nature and the partner need to invest some money. But once we start to publish papers, we get a reasonable amount of revenue, so that we can, become a healthy feedback cycle. Okay. And of course, we as NPJ, we inherited the editorial structure partially from Nature journals. We have chief editor, associate editor, but in contrast to Nature journals, we also have editorial board members, so that we can include more contributors in the early stage. We share the brand of Nature Portfolio, and we also have advisory editors who are in-house full-time editors in Nature Portfolio who can advise for our NPJ journals. And these are lots of so at that time I think signing a contract for a Nature Partner Journal was a big deal. So lots of signing ceremonies in different with different universities and institutes. So this one was in Nanjing University. Computational materials was with an Institute of Ceramics in Shanghai of CAS, and also some foreign institutes in Nanyang Technological University. This is RMIT. This one was Nanjing Tech University. And at that time, also Nature made press release on this launch of new journals. But these days, of course, we actually no longer do that because there are too many journals being launched every year. And in China, we had this in the early days, right, when the partner journal was a big deal, when collaboration was really important, and there was a lot of interest from the local partners to work with us. So we had this Nations Research Summit in 2016 in Shanghai, but it was in the Shanghai Natural History Museum, and almost all the NPJ partners representatives here were there to discuss with our editors, our colleagues in Shanghai. I think at that time, more than 30 or even 40 chief editors of Nature journals, and they also flew from London to Shanghai to attend this research summit. Unfortunately, that this happened only once in China. So these days we don't have this anymore because it was, very expensive, and it takes a lot of effort to organize, and also, the fashion gradually changed. So in the following slides, I'm going to share that basically what is happening over the past 5 years, how things are changing, why our publishing model has been changing. The same graph, but you look just now we were focusing on this take hold. But in the recent 5 years, um, this amount of OA articles being published per year is already comparable to the non-OA articles market size. So what does that mean? Of course, in the early days when OA is small, it's a bit of when we do this, it was very innovative, right? The partners like it because it's something new. They would like to try this, but over the years, OA has become more and more mainstream, right? Because if you look at this, it's already 50% of the market share in all the articles. So the partners or the so-called academic leaders' voice has been unavoidably diluted. Instead, what become more dominant or important is the voice of the community, right? What do the authors think? What do the reviewers think? Become more important to the publishers, and what the chief editors are thinking about. I'm not saying that what they think is no longer important, but I think in order to make the journal successful, and also in order to make the partnership work, and the editors also need to listen to, and also to be aware of what is going on within the community. And with such exponential growth, and of course we can see that in the next couple of years, OA may even overtake the non-OA articles, right? So there would be more new opportunities rising from the community, right? So when this size of this OA publication becomes so large, what will happen? We don't know for sure, but I think we are, NPJs has adjusted our positions to serve the needs of the community. Okay, so that's also the the key idea of this talk. So we have transitioned from partnership model to this community-centric model. I think you have seen this part of slides in the Carnitas talk already. So we now our mission is to still launch specialized journal series and to demonstrate editorial excellence. Right, that's why we still work, of course, continue working with. And the top-notch researchers as our editors, and in the meantime, of course, we want to publish reasonable amount of uh, research work, and of course, our editors play a very important role in doing the quality control, selecting the most valuable articles and publish them. And authors for our audience is also important because for OA, and the readers doesn't really need to pay, so that actually they have a lot of content to read today, right? Imagine what you read every day. I think it's no longer, you probably have too many things you want to read, but you can't read them or in depth. So how to curate this content. I think NPJ also has a lot of innovations, right? Like interpreting or providing an interesting narrative and create using new social media platform to promote our content and our journal. And of course, there are challenges. For example, how do we continue working with previous partners, right? So of course, we are not kicking them out, right? So for those journals with partners, we continue working with the partners. And of course, we also invite the partners into our thinking and the discussion so that they become also aware of what is happening in the fields and how these trends is coming. And of course, what we care most, even place community more in the center, we still care about quality control and regulation. But in the meantime, we also want to improve our efficiency and productivity. So in this new mode, we have NPJ journals, but we also have lots of really manage a lot of other relationships. No longer just partners, but also reviewers, authors, editor in chief. Right, we want to provide first-class services to all of them, and by only by doing that, we can achieve. We have achieved more than 30% of growth in terms of submission and publication every year, and we have launched new journals to meet demand of the community. For example, this is my group, so I'm probably slightly more familiar with this title, NPJ Artificial Intelligence. So imagine that in the old days, if we have to work with a partner to um, launch this title, I think all around the world, probably there are too many institutes or universities who will have interest to do this, right? But if we select one as the partner, that will become slightly exclusive, right? Because the partner wants to once become attached to this journal, they may have their own interests, so that they would prefer certain type of articles or articles from certain sources, while in the meantime, everybody deprioritize others. But if we run this journal, we want to be fair. We want to welcome submissions from all around the places. And now Spring Nation has the full control. Our internal team has the full control, so that we can, freely and very rapidly implement new workflows that to reduce the turnaround time. Um, in the best interest of the authors, so that the articles can be um, relatively quickly published and be disseminated to the community. So over the years, our chief editors, number of chief editors have grown very quickly. In the past, of course, we have, so the first batch of chief editors are these five. They are um, with partners, right? And and that was before year 2017. So starting from 2019, 2021, around those area, we have recruited nine new chief editors. Of course, they are all based in China, but all around the world, we have probably more than 60 chief editors. And so now when we choose chief editors, we find them or we select them in the best interest of the journal, not in the best interest of the partner, right? So that we can reasonably put more chief editors from China. So because China is one of the largest contributor to the research output as well, right? This is something that is so obvious, and nobody can neglect this factor. We also added publishers in China, as I just mentioned. We have, I joined in 2020, and we have several other publishers joined since 2021. Yeah, so to conclude, I think I hope that by attending this talk, you have obtained some, a good picture on how the NPJs were formed and how it develops into today's shape. And of course, it's a very dynamic portfolio. We are launching new journals every year. The numbers may not scare you, but actually scare a lot of publishers in our company. So we are a very productive team, and we want to continue developing more collaboration and the partnership in China. We also want to identify you um, as our potential authors, potential reviewers, and potential editorial board members, and of course chief editors, right? And to achieve this, of course, we welcome your suggestions, contributions, and feel free to reach out to us in either the Beijing office or Shanghai office, and also Nanjing office. With that, I would like to thank you for your time and attention, and yeah, I'm happy to address any questions you have. Thank you.